Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about how to survive the holiday stress. Let's call that the holiday stress season. Now, I hope that you have a lot of happy childhood memories when you think back to your Christmases a long time ago, maybe some school breaks or the special sweets and the treats that you got to eat, the holiday decorations that be up and down Main Street. And some towns really did an awesome job of that. And then, of course, there was usually somewhere in the background the old traditional I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas playing and often sung by Bing Crosby. And we had a great time as kids because all the adults were responsible for orchestrating that happy Christmas, and we were just along for the ride. And then somewhere along the way we grew up and we became the ones that were responsible for orchestrating all that happy Christmas, and the kids were around along for the ride. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some regular old Bible verses and we're going to connect the dots to the holiday season. We're going to hook them up so that you can see how some Bible verses will apply to how you're going to try to survive this holiday season. Let's start with those wonderful extended family members, those that just drive you nuts, and every family's got some of them. You've got the family member that can't decide whether they're going to show up for the family event or not. They're scared to death they're going to miss some other invitation and they're afraid to commit. They don't know if they're going to bring a certain dish or not if you're having a potluck, and they're just almost impossible. Like I said, they're just about to drive you crazy. You think, man, if I could just get them off of my list, out of my hair, this would be a wonderful holiday. So now, what do we do about those? Well, we're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and we're going to think about love, and this being an opportunity to practice the love that we admire so much when we read this passage, where we read Paul saying, love is patient. Mm-hmm. Love is kind. Love is not jealous, does not brag, is not arrogant, does not act rudely, is not seeking its own. How about this one? Is not provoked, does not take into account a wrong suffered, does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Yes, Christmas and the family get togethers are a time to be practicing the love of 1 Corinthians 13. It's not just a pretty passage to be read, though you can do that. It's not just a meditation text, though you can do that too. That is what we practice. And that crazy extended family member or multiple family members give us an opportunity to really learn how to do that love. Now, also, we get this wonderful opportunity to practice the golden rule. I know. Sounds kind of tough, right? Not really what you want to hear in the holiday season. But he says we treat other people the way we want to be treated. So, fact is, I may be that crazy relative in somebody's eye. You may be that crazy relative in somebody else's eye. Have you given that some thought? So instead of looking at the speck in the other person's eye, maybe let's connect the dots. Maybe it's time to back up and see if I don't have a big old log, a beam sticking out of my own eye. And thus, the holiday seasons give me an opportunity to sit back and reflect a little bit. Now, we have another dot to connect here, and that is if we're going to walk with Jesus, we got to love the people that Jesus loved, and Jesus loved everybody. That's basic John 3:16, for God so loved the world. So you have to love whoever Jesus loves, and yes, that includes that exasperating extended family member or those people at the store who think their place in line is the most important thing in the world, or they've got to have the last package off the shelf, or just whatever, because we know everybody in the community can get a little testy at this time of year. And yet, we're still going to practice to love them because we excel still more, as Paul said in 1 Thessalonians 4:1, and we're going to excel still more in the Christmas year. I know you just want everything just to magically come together and just somehow perfectly be okay. But the odds are that's not going to happen. Odds are we're going to have to step up. We're going to have to man up, woman up, and be the Christian we dream of ourselves of being. And be a positive influence, even though we'd rather yell and scream and throw a fit. I get it. It's okay. It's just practice. This is part of it. So, in another verse, we're told in Matthew 5:16 to let our light so shine before men that they can see our good works and glorify our Father in heaven. Again, that was Matthew 5:16. So, as we go through the holiday season, one of the things we want to do is be a light. We want to be a decoration upon the creation of God. In Titus 2 and verse 10, Paul wrote that we're going to show all good faith so that we can adorn the doctrine of God, our Savior, in every respect. And if every respect really means every respect, That means this holiday season too. Everything we do, we're going to pause. We're going to, okay, am I adorning the doctrine of God? Am I a decoration upon his creation? And if I'm not going to be a decoration on his creation, I'm going to take a breath, count to 10, do whatever, do, step out of the room a minute, scream in a pillow, do something, come back out and be a decoration upon the creation of God. Now, another thing, we have these little sayings, I really do like it. It's about live, laugh, and love. And I think that's just a wonderful little saying. There's so much stuff that goes on in the holiday season that really doesn't matter. I get we want it to be absolutely perfect and everything in the exact right place at the exact right time. But that just adds a lot of tension because we know, and we know that we know it's not going to go perfect. And God doesn't care. God doesn't care if the meal is served on time. He doesn't care if everything comes out just perfect, like, magazine picture perfect. God doesn't care. And Jesus didn't care. Remember the story about Mary and Martha, and Mary's sitting at the feet of Jesus. She's listening to him teach, and Martha's in the kitchen, and she's just a fuming and a fussing and mad at Mary and gets on to Jesus. Remember that story? That's in Luke 10:38 if you want to go read it. So Jesus just says, look, I'm going to paraphrase, but he says, I don't care. Mary's got the better part here, and I'm not going to take it away from her. Jesus didn't care if the meal was on time. He didn't care how the meal looked. He wasn't all worried about whether the napkins and the silverware were all in the right place and the decorations and the table piece was just perfect. He did not care. He had one point in mind. He had set his mind on heaven, and everything was about heaven. And so you get in that kitchen, you get in that dining room, you get in that living room where you got all those wonderful decorations, and you do your best. And as long as you're having fun, enjoy it. I wouldn't take a thing away from you. But the moment you start getting tense about it, just step back and laugh. Because by this time next year, nobody's going to be thinking about Christmas 2022 or 2021 or Christmas 1983 or whatever. There are going to be a zillion very soon to be forgotten details. And the fact of the matter is, the day after Christmas, December 26th, a lot of folks aren't going to remember any of the stuff that other people had stressed about the day before. So my basic rule is, if God doesn't care, then why should I care? I just use that rule all the time. If God's not worried about it, why should I be worried about it? Now, can I be if I want to? I guess so. But my question is, why? God's not worried. Why should I get worried? Go ahead, do your best, have a good time. But I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to tell you another thing to do here is to aim at perfection. Absolutely. We always aim at having a perfect score, but definitely be happy with less. James 3:2 says, we all stumble in many things. Okay, we're going to stumble. We're going to fall around. We're not going to get a perfect score. Don't lose your focus. Don't let Satan come in and make your holiday miserable over something that wasn't eternal or really wasn't even that important in most people's eyes. Don't add to the stress. Remember, a soft voice, soft answer turns away wrath. Don't get caught up in the, I don't know what I want to call it, just the craziness of the moment, aiming at that perfect Hollywood dream thing that this is never going to hardly ever happen in reality. So what I'm going to tell you to do is just aim at having a good day. And if you can sit back by the end of the day and say, look, we won, and it was just by 1 point, that's okay. My Bible says a righteous man falls 7 times. Okay, I fell. I'm going to get back up. I'm going to keep pressing on. Now, one other thing I would add to all of this is it's all training. James said, consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its perfect work, so that you may be perfect, complete, lacking nothing. That's James chapter 1, verse 2, 3, and 4. Training's tough. It's supposed to be tough. And the training doesn't take a holiday break. In fact, I would say the training kind of ramps up a little bit during the holiday breaks. It really puts on some extra testing to see just how well you really deeply incorporated all those Christian principles into your life. And if you'll sit back and look, you'll see. And I know you're not going to have a perfect score, and that's A-OK. None of us bat 1,000. So what we do in this holiday season to help us get through the stress is we keep our mind set on heaven. That's Colossians 3 and verse 2, where he said, set your mind on heaven. And that verse isn't just for Sunday morning or Wednesday night or during some special event. That verse, set your mind on heaven, is for every day of the year, even the holiday days, even Christmas Day, set your mind on heaven. Because in 100 years from now, frankly, a lot sooner than that, nobody's going to remember all the stuff that we fussed and stressed about during the holiday season. It's soon going to be February 1st, and everything about the New Year holidays are going to be forgotten, and we're going to have forgotten our New Year's resolution. Ultimately, it's all about heaven. And so we play our games, we have our fun, we live, we laugh, we love, we carry on, and we just, I don't know, breathe and enjoy it. And if it goes wrong, just laugh at it and keep pressing on. One last comment, and we'll close this little podcast for today, and that is, what about my presents? Presents are fun. I love presents. I like getting my presents, and there's certain presents I like getting more than others, and that's all the way it's supposed to work. That's all good. Don't get too caught up in the presents. Have fun, but understand, if you gain the whole world and lose your soul, what have you got? You've got absolutely nothing. Presents are just one little piece of the season, and over time, I wonder if we could just kind of sit back, take an inventory of all the presents you've received from the earliest ones you can remember, from your very first Christmas when you were just a year old, all the way up today. How many of those presents were literally life transforming and changed the very course of your life? And chances are is none of them. All of those presents were delightful. Some of them were kind of, nah, you're like, okay, I got some socks, all right. And some of them maybe you regifted, but none of them really changed your life literally. Some more appreciated than others, but try to think about all the gifts you've forgotten about and all the gifts you get this year. By this time next year, you're going to have forgotten about most of them too. You're not wrong. That's not bad. That's just the way life works. And that's okay. I think the key thing is we're going to have fun. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have some smiles and laughs no matter what. This is going to be a good holiday season no matter what somebody else thinks of it. We're going to walk to the other side of it going, yeah, that was good. So I hope those few brief thoughts help you get through the holiday season with a little more happiness, a little more joy, a little more spunk, and looking forward to it. I do believe that together we can make a difference. And as always, I hope you have a great day.